Good evening and welcome to a Saturday night live stream with Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. You guys know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things Duty Ron and this guy, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, we're going to be on it again with Bryan Kohberger. He bought the K-bar knife. The prosecution has proof. Is this game over in the Idaho 4 murders? Ed, your thoughts. Let's jump right into it.
Well, as the gag order is slowly being lifted and the veil of all the evidence is slowly being lifted and we get to see more and more, it's not looking good for Bryan.
Yeah. I'll say, and on April 18th, which was just yesterday, today, as you guys know, my birthday. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Ed Wallace texted me early in the morning. My sister hit me up at 12:01 a.m. So when I woke up this morning, a whole bunch of messages. Thank you to everybody for the birthday wishes. But on April 18th, yesterday, Judge Hippler, another like 3 or 4 banger against the defense. I think he only sided with one of their rulings, and that was one of their requests, and that was to leave out the word psychopath and what was
sociopath.
Sociopath and psycho.
He said, AT, come here. Denied.
You got smacked around quite a bit. Oh, man. This, in my opinion, is the beginning of the end. And this is just my humble opinion. Chubby Dumplings comes in with a $20 super chat. Happy birthday, Duty Ron. Thank you. I can't help but to giggle with that name, Chubby Dumplings. Have we ever seen Chubby Dumplings in the chat? I love it.
I love dumplings.
Yeah, dumplings are good. So yeah, let us know what you think in the chat. I know there's a lot of things going on. Obviously, there was the FSU shooting. Horrible. Ed, you did a great job on Law and Crime on that. We have so many other cases. Luigi Mangione. There was an update there, but this is going to go to trial in August, and I have a feeling some people think that Ann Taylor is going to try to get the brakes pumped on this trial starting, but this judge seems to be really set in his ways and staying to the time frame of an August 2025 start date. Let us know what you think in the comments section and in the live chat. Let's take a listen to not my favorite, but she's calming down a little bit. Not a fan favorite, but let's listen to News Nation Ashley Banfield. She covered this last night.
It's good at reminding me, though, if I forget. One thing I do not do, however, I do not look for ways to erase the fact that I was ever at those sites in the first place. And if I am ever charged with 4 murders, that's probably going to help my defense. Not so much for Bryan Kohberger. New documents that just dropped tonight show Idaho prosecutors have some more heavy ammo against him in his quadruple murder case. We had been kept from these details for 2.5 years. That pesky gag order has seen to it. Little by little, morsels of information are dropping in the way of pretrial court documents, and tonight, a bombshell. We already knew that Kohberger's Amazon history showed that he bought a K-bar knife, according to the prosecutors, and a K-bar sheath and a sharpener months before the murders. And we also learned that he searched for what the prosecutors call a replacement knife and sheath after the murders. Convenient. But today we learned that whoever's fingers were doing the walking on that Amazon account looked for ways to delete that shopping history right after the murders. Bad fact. Prosecution documents also show that the K-bar knife and sheath were, quote, shipped to Bryan Kohberger at his family address in Pennsylvania, end quote. The documents continue with, quote, after the homicides, activity from the same account showed the user navigated pages related to the deletion of account activity, and a week later viewed pages associated with K-bar knife and sheath. This evidence establishes significant connection between defendant and K-bar knife and sheath. It's hard enough to hide something like that in real life, but whoever killed those poor kids was able to hide that because no one's ever found the actual K-bar knife. But he screwed up with that, or she. This was found under the body of Maddie Mogan. And on that little snap, DNA. Prosecutors say that DNA led them right to Kohberger. I believe the legal term for the stuff we learned in the document tonight is called mic drop. But Lisa Bonner knows a lot more about that technical stuff.
Did she just say mic drop?
Mic, like the microphone, but it's more like a sheath drop.
A sheath drop. I like it. I like it.
Than I do. She's a managing partner of Bonner Law, and she's here with me live. Lisa, evidence found is one thing, but evidence that a defendant tries to hide is sometimes even more powerful.
Yes, it is. In this instance, it led them to connect significantly the search history and the connection between the knife sheath and the DNA. The search history clearly shows that the same account that was used to search for the knife, to ship to the knife, and to delete the history was the same name and email and the purchase history of the defendant. And that is
that's
a
never
mic drop,
good.
Ashley.
That's a mic drop.
I hate when Banfield cuts. Look, I'm guilty of it too. I sometimes cut you off, Ed, just to get a thought out.
No, that never happens.
But yeah, I'm guilty as charged. But Banfield does this to almost every guest, and then they'll edit out the clip where the person's in the middle of talking, and the show will shut off. Anybody hate that in the chat? I hate that about News Nation. I don't know who does their editing, but they suck.
So here's another mic-ish.
To ship to the knife and to delete the history was the same name and email and the purchase history of the defendant. And that is
that's
a
never
mic drop,
good.
Ashley.
That's a mic drop. So here's another mic-ish. Here's a little like lavalier drop. And that is that they also said it's a family account, right? That's what the defense said. It's a family account. You don't know who in this family was buying the knife. We live in the Poconos and there's hunting and camping and all the rest. But the address is Bryan Kohberger. It's shipped to Bryan Kohberger. It's not shipped to mom and it's not shipped to dad. And by the way, if it is mom and dad doing the purchasing, was it also mom and dad trying to scrub that account after the murders?
Well, that's interesting because this is going to turn on if the defendant is trying to establish that can be established during cross-examination. They were trying to get that evidence removed, and they were trying to say that is not going to happen. It's highly prejudicial. And in this instance, the judge said that's not the case. If you want to say it's a parent's account, if you want to say it's a family's account, then you can challenge that in court. But this is relevant. This establishes a significant connection, and therefore it is probative evidence that we are going to allow to be admitted, and you may challenge that on your cross-examination. It's as simple as that.
Ron, hold on.
I always love.
What do you got, Wallace?
Okay, so we know from other court documents that Bryan knows about VPNs. Okay, so if he's back in his campus apartment and he's on his computer and he's trying to scrub his Amazon search and purchase history from that apartment in Washington, if his VPN is not on, the IP address will show you where that was occurring at, Washington or Pennsylvania or whatever the case may be. But if his VPN is on, then he could be bouncing his IP address from whatever city in the world that he chooses.
Right. He could be saying that he's watching, that he's doing his internet activity in Bangladesh. You could just spoof your location. But, you know, the FBI and the forensic team, the computer forensic team that's worked on this case, they have dotted their I's and crossed their T's, in my opinion. This case, again, is a case of a lifetime for Moscow, Idaho. And Bill Thompson reached out to the state attorney's office and has help from state prosecutors. So this isn't just something that they're going to just lollygag. Ooh, did I just say lollygag? I did. But yeah, this is a huge case, but there's just too many coincidental things here that if you are a reasonable person, and I say this with extreme conviction, if you're a reasonable person and you look at all of these things that are piling up on Bryan Kohberger as the state is releasing this stuff, we had so many document dumps recently after the gag order was up, kind of just pulled back by Judge Hippler. But there's so many coincidences. It's just hard for us to say as reasonable people that somebody else did this, that somebody else planted this evidence. It's all just coming full circle, Ed.
Well, yeah, well, the defense is going to try to make that argument now. Apparently, they say they have a confidential source told them about 2 suspects, and they have until next week to provide evidence to the judge if they're going to go down that defense road.
Right. Thank you, Angel, for the birthday wishes. Yes, today is my birthday. I'm 29 today, so thank you to everybody who wished me happy 29th birthday.
Account, if you want to say it's a family's account, then you can challenge that in court. But this is relevant. This establishes a significant connection, and therefore it is probative evidence that we are going to allow to be admitted. And you may challenge that on your cross-examination. It's as simple as that.
I always love the fight in court, the probative versus prejudicial. Everything, all evidence is prejudicial, right? It's like, what are you talking about? But I get it. Sometimes it's beyond the pale. However, the bushy eyebrows, it turns out the judge said, sorry, that's not something that's so prejudicial. That is an...
Did Cat 747 misunderstand something that you were saying? She said, first I'm hearing about possible more suspects. Thanks,
yeah, maybe she hasn't heard that the defense has posed to the judge that they are investigating on a tip they receive 2 possible suspects other than Bryan to commit the crime. So they may go down that road to a defense of that this is somebody else did this, not Bryan.
But also, yes, thank you, Kat, for paying attention. But again, Judge Hippler said, if you're going to present that, you better have some evidence that you know.
No, he wants the evidence. He's not going to let them proceed with that defense without having a hearing on it. And he gave them until next week to present the evidence. It's got to be clear and convincing evidence that, before he'll rule and allow them to go down that road. I don't think it's going to happen, to be quite honest with you.
I'm looking forward to hearing more about this second. She said that obviously we heard it with our own ears. We covered the hearing. Ann Taylor said that there's the defense is going to show that there are two perpetrators in this crime. Let's listen to this, and then I have another little piece to play for the audience. But I want to go straight back to the live chat because a lot of people have a lot of questions. But again, if you feel that the evidence that's mounting against Bryan Kohberger is monumental, there's a mountain of evidence, put a 1 in the chat. If you feel that there isn't, and you feel that the state needs to have more, put a 2, because I like to hear from both sides. Ed, I know you enjoy also hearing from both sides, but if you put the 2 in the chat, just say why you're putting a 2 and you feel that they don't have enough evidence. Because we like to just, have a conversation about that.
Yeah, but I bet you right about now, with all these rulings coming down, AT is probably really pissed at herself that she moved the venue.
Oh, Judge would have been, she would have been able to, she was manhandling him. Judge didn't know, his head was spinning. It was like The Exorcist. Did anybody ever see that? The Exorcist, where the head spins around? That's how Judge, he couldn't make a decision, It's just incredible. So yeah, let's do it. Let's finish this up, and then we'll get to the next one.
Witness account. The defense wanted to actually bury an eyewitness account. It did not happen. I suppose you're not surprised.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not surprised, because this is the only witness that they have in this instance. This is the only witness. Again, the judge said that the evidence was consistent and it was clear. The witness gave the same description of the eyebrows. The eyebrows was almost its own character, if you will, in this narrative.
Mhm.
She was very clear about, I don't remember much about what the person looked like. Don't remember the nose. I don't remember the eyes. I do remember it was an eyebrow or an eyebrow, and it was bushy eyebrows. And that is the situation that we are looking at in this instance.
I like this attorney, Ed. First time I've ever heard from her as a talking head. I like what she's given both sides of it, and you got to be fair about it when we talk about this stuff. Go ahead.
Just before we came on at 8:00 tonight on Showtime, American Psycho was on, and I turned it on. I was watching it with my wife, and there he is, Christian Bale. He kind of reminds me of BK. He's got the bushy eyebrows and everything, and I was like, "Damn, it's BK."
There it is. Yeah. Yep. It's just funny the timing of how they play these things. Me, thank you for becoming a YouTube member, and thank you for the super chat. For those of you who are in the chat, I want to say thank you to the moderators and the replay viewers and everyone that's watching live. There was a quick
new court ruling
about the court rulings, and this is what we talked about in the beginning when we first opened up here tonight. There was 4 court rulings that came out on 4/18. The judge ruled on it the day before on Thursday, but the writings, it takes the clerk some time to put them out. But they put them out on Friday. Good Morning America covered it, and let's just take a listen because they went over it in less than 2 minutes, and that's what I like about them. So it's nice and condensed. Ed, you see anything in the chat that you want to address? I see you smiling.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I want everybody to know, Ed Wallace, I'll put us closer. This man right over here, he watches the chat while we're live. I can't do that because I'm doing 5 different things, but he watches the chat. And then when the comments come afterwards, like you guys leave comments down below in the comment section, Ed is sometimes he's up late, sometimes he's up early. But man, I got to tell you, Ed doesn't miss a lot. He might miss some, but he doesn't miss a lot, right?
That's right.
Yeah, Ed's on it. He's dedicated. I wanted to highlight that because Ed, you are an asset to this community. We do this together, but like our, subscribers, the channel members, I don't think you get this at a lot of different YouTube content creators where they actually are engaging after they're done doing those live streams. I don't know. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think in the live chat and in the comments down below.
Remember, what's my motto?
Oh, what is your motto, Ed? Tell everybody.
I get paid to be anal.
There you go. Ed, oh my. All right, here we go.
On some potential evidence in the case against Idaho College murder suspect Bryan Kohberger, as his trial is set to get underway in a little over 3 months. ABC's Melissa Adon is here now with details. Melissa, good morning.
Good morning. So the judge for the Idaho College murders case is laying the groundwork with these critical decisions ahead of the high-profile murder trial this summer. This morning, the judge in the Idaho College murders case largely siding with prosecutors in several key rulings for Bryan Kohberger's August trial. Regarding Kohberger's autism spectrum disorder, DNA evidence, witness testimony, and suspect's car, Judge Stephen Hippler severely restricting what Kohberger's defense team can say about his autism spectrum disorder unless Kohberger takes a stand on his own behalf in order to explain his behavior. The judge clearing the way for an Idaho State Police lab manager to testify on specifics of Kohberger's DNA, which prosecutors say was found at the crime scene on a knife sheath similar to this.
Ed, let me ask you something before we hear Ann Taylor talk. Why would you're a crime scene and DNA expert? Why would a defense attorney want to get DNA at a quadruple homicide removed from evidence?
It's a direct link to the quadruple homicide here. A direct link. His DNA is on that sheath. How to get there? Okay. How did it enter that crime scene? Who brought it there other than the guy with the bushy eyebrows in the mask? Okay. Who's about 6 foot tall and lanky and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who drives a white Elantra, whose cell phone hit 33 times around the house.
Correctamundo. All right. Hard evidence, says Tiffany Knox. Absolutely. You can't, as we say, the science and the evidence doesn't lie. And there's so much of it here. There's so much circumstantial. There's so much hard evidence. This is just a treasure trove. And we haven't heard it all yet. Once this trial commences, we're going to hear a lot more. And there's going to be a lot of humble pie to be eaten by a lot of different people who are cheering on. They're being a cheerleader for a murderer. And again, I say it all the time here on Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. We are not cheerleaders for murderers. We do not do that.
Ron, what's also ironic is that these things are being trickled out now. And in the evidence suppression hearings that were just had last week, that the judge is passing these rulings on, they made no mention of the fact that he tried to scrub his Amazon purchase and Amazon search history.
Right.
And they had that. So now that I know this, and I look back at some of AT's arguments here, it seems really ridiculous.
Yeah, it really does.
Similar to this.
What does a knife sheath at a scene mean? That's going to be the ultimate question.
The defense has.
Wait.
What does the knife at a crime scene mean, Ed?
It means probable cause every day and twice on Sunday.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Hippler. Thank you, Judge. That's coming up. I don't think we play that here, but that's what it means, Ann. So we'll let it go without me and Ed doing our little shtick.
At a scene mean? That's
sheath similar to this.
what does a knife sheath at a scene mean? That's going to be the ultimate question.
The defense has argued that Kohberger's DNA could have gone on the sheath by other means than murder. Prosecutors claim Kohberger bought the knife and sheath on Amazon 8 months before Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Zaina Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were fatally stabbed in an off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho in 2022.
Do you think that the surviving roommates were under the stress of the immediate events?
As for one of those surviving roommates, the judge ruling her account of seeing a masked intruder with bushy eyebrows can be used at trial. The defense claimed it would bias the jury, but the judge called her descriptions remarkably consistent. And the judge will allow a state expert to testify that this white Hyundai Elantra spotted on security cameras at and around the crime scene is the same make and model that Kohberger drove.
Ed, why would the defense want to get the white Hyundai Elantra struck from the court records?
Are you kidding me? Because it's BK. It's BK has all the parts of this quadruple homicide. Everything points to BK.
And there's no denying it. It's irrefutable. I mean, if you look at the totality of, again, I keep saying, of all this evidence, there's no coincidences here, and people still grab at those straws and say to themselves, it was somebody else. It wasn't him. It's just like, when we see somebody on video shooting somebody and murdering somebody in Midtown Manhattan, and you still have people to say, that wasn't him. He didn't do that. It was funny, like when I was on patrol, and I'm sure you got this a lot, and I would stop somebody in a stairwell that was smoking marijuana. And back in the day, in the 90s, it was illegal to do that in New York. And we would stop them for smoking the marijuana in a public space inside a stairwell. And then we would search them, and there'd be a bag of dope or coke in their front pocket. And what would they say? I don't know whose that is. I don't know.
That's not mine. That's not mine.
It's the same shit with this. Same stuff. I mean,
yeah. I remember I did a car stop on Church Avenue with two Jamaican drug dealers in it, and it was a Volkswagen Volkswagen
Jetta.
No, the
okay,
Bug.
so Volkswagen.
Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle,
the Bug.
and I asked for the license, registration, insurance, and the guy popped open the glove box and there was $15,000 in cash in it.
It's not mine. I don't know what that is.
Exactly what they said. They said it's not mine. I called my sergeant and
Vouching for evidence.
and we vouched $15,000 worth of cash.
Yeah. I had it happen with a bunch of kids. We stopped on Atlantic Avenue in East New York. It was a large amount of U.S. currency underneath the passenger seat in a minivan, and they said the same thing. And we vouched it as evidence. It was funny because we had to get a money counting machine. So we got it from Major Case upstairs in the 7-5 precinct, and we was throwing the money through the money machine. It was like I felt like I was a bank teller, but we vouched it all. It was
a German ATM.
There you go. All right, let's listen to the rest of this. It's almost over.
The jury, but the judge called her descriptions remarkably consistent. And the judge will allow a state expert to testify that this white Hyundai Elantra spotted on security cameras at and around the crime scene is the same make and model that Kohberger drove. Now the trial is set for August. Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of...
So there you have it, Ed. I have one more piece where we hear Judge Hippler really lacing into Ann Taylor and the defense team. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but I want to go to the chat, hashtag Ed, hashtag Duty Ron. Any questions as it pertains to the Amazon purchases? Because I think that in itself alone is really compelling, because he not only bought the knife sheath way before these murders occurred, but he also tried to buy a replacement. And that, my friends, a jury that knows nothing about this case and hears that, come on. I mean, they are the fact finders, and that's going to be damning.
I always go back to Occam's razor. All things being equal, the simplest of explanations tends to be the truth. Now, in order for a jury to not believe beyond a reasonable doubt that Bryan is the guy, BK is the guy, they would have to ignore all those little coincidinkies.
Yeah, and it's difficult at best to overcome that. I get that Ann Taylor's trying to do her job. She is doing her job. As far as I'm concerned, she's doing a great job. She's doing backflips for Bryan Kohberger. But I don't care how many backflips that she does. When you have this type of evidence against your client, it's really difficult. It's a difficult hill to climb up. Ed, scan the chat. I got to reset something here.
Okay.
Tell us what you see. And
here's something too for all of you people out there that are into this stuff. BK, the initials. The knife is KB. Is there something to that? Is that maybe why he chose that knife? Because he had similar initials. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that it is, but again, too, with all of these potential theories and the defense trying to come up with an alibi, if he's not testifying, then who's going to lay the foundation for the alibis?
Yeah, right. I would have to say that he is not going to testify. There are some people who argue, and I respect it, that they feel Bryan Kohberger is like a puppet. Ann Taylor's like a puppet. He's got his hands doing his ventriloquist act with Ann Taylor. But any good defense attorney is going to take their client's input. They're going to take some feedback from their client, but they're going to advise them on the proper way to go and the proper mode of defense. They're not going to listen to some, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It would be like someone coming to us and trying to tell us how to conduct an investigation that has no experience in it whatsoever. Turbo Uncloaked, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a channel member. She says, where is the knife sharpener? It wasn't on the search warrant return. Again, if they're talking about it in court documents, the sharpener is not, in my opinion, from an investigative standpoint, is not that important. Right, Ed? I mean, if that's not on the warrant return,
Well, we know he purchased it. We know he searched it. We know he purchased it. We know it was delivered to his house.
but that's not going to be a smoking gun for the defense. Oh, you
No.
didn't have the knife sharpener on the thing, but I
Well, it's a
appreciate.
stone. It's no big deal. It's just a stone, and then you wet it, and then you sharpen the blade with it. But I saw another question here. I put it up here. So our friend alibis, okay. Now that they can only say DNA and not touch DNA, the defense screwed themselves over once again, because now the jury can think that it's any type of DNA was found. Well, they can't use touch. They can't use trace. And what was the third one? I'm not sure. I can't remember what was the third one.
Trace, touch, and transfer, I think.
Yeah, well, they can't use any of those terms. So now they found DNA. So yes, I think the defense, is smarting now because of their objection to this, right? Because now it's just DNA, and all they're going to talk about is, hey, we got a DNA profile, and when we got the swab, the buccal swab from Bryan after his arrest in Pennsylvania, we matched it. It's him.
Right. Hey, so Justin Davis, then thank you for this question because, look, I mean, these are all valid things. And he says, as an investigator, do you listen to the Linda Lane videos and hear all the screams and cries for help? Is that not relevant? Look, I think everything is relevant, but it's what's going to be relevant and what's going to matter most is what the state presents as part of their case. So we don't know if the state's going to have those Linda Lane videos and present them. But what we do know is at the crime scene and all the evidence that is now collected against the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, it's a tremendous amount. And videos of people screaming where you can't see their faces, that is not really something that you can use in court because think about it. How are you going to put names and faces to people screaming in the background? How are you going to say as a prosecutor, this is so-and-so screaming here, this is so-and-so, when the jury can't see the person? It's just like, Ed, when we would get video from a bodega that was so grainy that you couldn't actually identify who the person is that's actually doing the shooting or stabbing or beating, I would get so frustrated. I would be like, we can't use this to the DA, me speaking as a detective to the DA. We can't use this. Well, no. Detective, we can't identify who is in this film. So if
I understand that. I understand that because you don't want to be prejudicial, right? You want a fair trial, right? And you don't want to have grounds for an appeal either. Okay.
Correct.
So if the evidence isn't going to withstand cross, and it's only going to hurt the prosecution's case, I can see them not using. But you have to give it to the defense, and then the defense may choose to use it, so it still may get in, but not to the benefit of the prosecution. But again, if it's that bad, there's still other information you could glean from the video, like the height and weight of the suspect. You possibly can get that information, even though you can't make out the face.
Right, but they're talking in that video because I did see it. You see a car going by, and you see other things, but it's just audio that you're hearing in there, Ed. So, but thank you for that question, and I appreciate that. I think it was from Justin, and thank you to everybody that's here. We value your time spent on any person's live stream, and in particular ours here. Ed and I, we really value the live audience and the replay viewers and the folks who leave us comments. That's why we try to get to so many of the comments. All right.
Yes. And for our Christian friends, I know it's Holy Saturday, and for our Jewish friends, we're still in Passover. So thank you for taking the time to be here.
Yes, 100%. We value you guys like you don't understand how important you guys are to us, because without the audience, we really have nothing. We do primarily live streams. We do some uploads, but the bulk of our content is live, and then none of it's scripted. I do have notes here in my studio, and I know you have notes, but the bulk of what we do is from our knowledge as former investigators. All right, let's let this play because this is pretty good. This is Ann Taylor getting spanked around. This is from last week.
The Idaho student murders trial today as the judge warns Bryan Kohberger's defense team from the bench that they are making dangerous accusations against the state.
Fox 13
Ed, before we listen to the dangerous, the dangerous accusations that the state is that the defense is making against the prosecutors here, can you just clarify for the audience what exactly we're going to hear? Hitler, it's towards the end of the day. He really gets stern with Ann Taylor about her allegations that she's making. Would you be able to clear that up for some of the people that might not know what that is about?
Yeah, you want it now or you want it after the clip?
Let's do it after the clip.
Okay.
But I just wanted to set you up for that. So as soon as we listen to this, we'll go to Ed, and Ed will explain a little bit of what the judge was talking about. I think most of you guys know.
AJ Janiville covered today's proceedings. So AJ, what upset the judge here so much?
Today's hearings covered everything imaginable, from how to refer to DNA evidence, if family will be allowed in the courtroom, and if the state can use a replica dollhouse they made. But the most shocking moments came toward the end of the day.
The accusations he made in there are very concerning. The kinds of accusations, if true, that would get people disbarred.
Kohberger's defense team continues to allege that this.
I want to just stop it because I want to answer that question before it goes too far. Larry, thank you for being a member. Ed and Ron, does Bryan Kohberger have access to shows like this? I could tell you that he does not, but his attorneys may, and I don't know, and I don't think Ann Taylor would take the time out to go and watch random YouTube shows, but his defense team and their the people that are helping them, that are gathering information, and investigators that they've, employed, have access to anything that we would have access to. But Bryan Kohberger is in a county jail and does not have access to YouTube and so forth. So,
well, Ann Taylor better not be looking at these shows because she told the judge she doesn't have enough time in the day to look at the discovery materials that she already has. And she hasn't made application to any judges to get more paralegals to assist her. Okay. So,
yeah, she better not. Pull it over, Taylor.
Okay.
Thank you.
State has cell phone.
The kinds of
Toward the end of the day.
accusations he made in there are very concerning. The kinds
Who is he referring to there?
of accusations, if true, that would get people to.
Who is he referring to, Wallace? Accusations that he
Cy
made.
Ray.
Okay.
He's referring to the affidavit that was submitted on behalf of the defense team from Cy Ray.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about Cy Ray at the end of this. We're not going to go into it because we plan to do a complete show on Cy Ray in the future. So if you're interested in hearing our take on Cy Ray, you'll get a little preview of it now, and then we'll get to that in a few.
There are very concerning.
Shocking moments came toward the end of the day.
Accusations he made in there are very concerning. The kinds of accusations, if true, that would get people disbarred.
Kohberger's defense team continues to allege that the state has cell phone records that would show the defendant's location around the time of the murders. And that location wasn't anywhere near the crime scene. The state told the judge they never got the records, but the defense is not buying it.
What's the evidence of that, counsel?
The evidence has been in the practice that I've learned from people that I've worked
You're giving
with.
me that testimony now?
I'm not giving you testimony. I'm answering the court's question.
Okay. But you've made some serious accusations against the state of hiding evidence. And yet you've provided no factual basis, zero, that evidence existed for them to be able to obtain it in December.
The defense worked to poke holes in the state's case throughout the day, including questioning if Bryan Kohberger had control over his own Amazon account, where the state claims Kohberger purchased a knife like the one used in the killings.
From an expert that says that Amazon doesn't work exactly that way. And that's the problem, that when it is represented as a click, that indicates to the average person that he sat at a desk and clicked and made a purchase when there's a lot more to them.
And maybe I'm completely out to lunch, but as I understand it, to buy something on Amazon, you got to put it in your shopping cart and hit purchase.
That is correct. And that's why there was that uncomfortable moment of silence there.
Yeah,
Am I
that was
wrong
a big truth bomb that he dropped on her head.
Say again, Ed?
That was a big truth bomb that he just dropped on her head.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know what these attorneys think, like everybody's stupid. Like, I mean, I work at an Amazon affiliate, Ed, and I know the whole, I mean, most of us are experts at purchasing on Amazon. By a show of hands in the chat right now, how many of you in the chat have used Amazon? I mean, I won't be surprised if some say no, that I haven't. If you've used Amazon, press a 1. If you have never used Amazon, press a 2. I guarantee you the 1s will outweigh the 2s. I'm going to vote right now. Number 1, you have to take the item from your cart, from your shopping browsing, and put it in your cart. And then there's another step. You have to make a payment. You have to select the payment method. So it's not like who's the one that said, it was Stephen Stearns, that freak of nature. He said, oh, my phone did an automatic update without me doing anything, and I lost all my data. Remember that hogwash?
Yeah. Wrong.
Yeah, not, hold on.
Pardon my friend.
All right, I'll stop it. It's Easter tomorrow.
You got to put it in your shopping cart. And maybe I'm completely out to lunch, but as I understand it, to buy something on Amazon, you got to put it in your shopping cart and hit purchase. Am I wrong about that?
No, that is a step, but how it gets in your cart and what items get in your cart.
Does the boogeyman put it in your cart, lady? I just don't get it.
Yes, the Baba Yaga selects for you.
Yeah. Like, come on, man. It's crazy. I mean, they're grabbing at straws. Chubby Dumpling is at it again, Ed. She might realize they are just that screwed and is throwing everything. We said she's going to throw as much shit up against the wall and see what sticks. Chubby Dumpling said it nicely. Ed, we didn't say it nice.
I'm getting hungry just looking at the dumplings. I want some Chinese soup dumplings right now.
Oh man, I'd love to go down to the 109 and pick up something over in Flushing over there or wherever that is. Right outside the 109, there's a couple of really good spots over there.
See, I don't have to go to Chinatown. I can just yell up to my wife.
We all don't have it like you do, Ed.
Uh-huh.
So I got to put this back because this is pure classic. I could listen to this all day and twice on Sunday.
Am I wrong about that?
No, that.
And maybe I'm completely out to lunch, but as I understand it, to buy something on Amazon, you got to put it in your shopping cart and hit purchase. Am I wrong about that?
No, that is a step, but how it gets in your cart and what items get in your cart really has to do with the whole model and the ecosystem of the way that Amazon works.
Oh, stop. You're ridiculous.
In the last hours of the hearing, the court was still listening to arguments about whether Kohberger's autism is reason to spare him the death penalty, since it would be
It's such a reach, says Amber from ATS News. Amber, thank you for the birthday wishes today. I'm so happy that we're friends. I know I said that to you on a direct message, but ATS News has her own YouTube channel as well, and a bunch of other people that are here. Dawn Marie has her own YouTube, Joey Brooklyn, Karen Cole, Legal Minded Friends, all really great people. So everybody follow each other, subscribe, support each other. Hey, look who jumped in the game here, Papa Smurf, the OG.
The OG, baby.
Happy Easter, you and Ron and Ed. Also to Judy, Ron, and family, much love from New York City. Papa Smurf, always appreciate you. Thank you for becoming a new member. Jelani, number 1, thank you for becoming a member. Shelly Stewart says, Ann Taylor has no time to read the Discovery, let alone YouTube. I tend to agree. I like that she put the Discovery in there. Allison BD gifted 5 memberships. That's very kind, and we appreciate you.
The Berg.
Yes, Chubby Dumpling again back in with the super chat. Becky, thank you for being a member. Oh wow, 33 months. Happy birthday, Duty Ron. Thank you. Allie Books is in the game here, and she says, "I'm so glad to be a part of this family." You know what? We're honored to have all of you guys here, and again, I can argue with any community. I mean, there's a lot of great communities out there. Like I love the hidden true crime community, but like we have some of the best people here. So we're second to none as far as I'm concerned. Ed, what do you got, brother?
So Linda Doherty, I agree 100% with you. Yeah, I think he's KB is giving questions to his lawyers to ask.
Yeah, I mean, but he's not pulling strings. He's not gonna be telling them how to defend him. You know, maybe there is, you know, he has, you know, he's putting questions in there, but at the end of the day, it really is going to be, Ann Taylor is the death penalty certified, one of 2 or 3 in the whole state. So, and she, and wasn't that shocking what we gleaned from that last motions hearings, that she took on another death penalty case?
Yeah.
What?
Right. She took on another death penalty case.
Oh,
Right.
Atlanta.
I want to know how much she makes off this case. What's her total income going to be from this case alone, from the taxpayers of Idaho?
She's over 200 an hour, like 225 an hour. So she's billing, you know, many hours, and we'll get it at the end probably. But Thunder Horse, thank you so much. Thank you, Thunder Horse, for being a member for a year. Happy birthday, Judy Ron. Much appreciated. All right, let's go to questions because it's getting close to the hour. Hashtag Ed, hashtag Duty Ron. I want to get some questions. What do you got, Ed? What would you say?
Oh, no. Okay. No, I thought we're going to save Cy Ray for another episode.
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about Cy Ray, because let's see what people in the chat think. How many of you guys heard of this cell phone expert, Cy Ray, former police lieutenant? I think he was his last rank. And I found it interesting that he was in Arizona in the same police. He's affiliated with the same
Chandler,
the Chandler Police Department. Thank you, Ed. That handled Alex Cox murdering Charles Vallow and let them walk away for 2 years. Same police department. Now, again, it has nothing to do with, you know, him and his experience. I don't know if he was on that case or if he did anything there, but Ed, want to talk a little bit about him and without giving the shop away?
Okay, so basically he's made himself into a cell phone expert, and he says that he obtained all this knowledge
for the defense, right?
No, well, initially he was a law enforcement cell phone expert. He said he got all this training from the cell phone providers while he was a police officer, and then when he retired, he opened up his own company, and he developed a cell phone plotting and tracking software that could map out locations and based upon cell tower information and so forth and so on. And then he sold this software and provided training for it for law enforcement, local, state, and federal throughout the nation. And then eventually, over time, he sold it to LexisNexis, bought him out, and he works for LexisNexis now. With that, so that said, in fact, his software was used in the Lori Daybell trial. Okay, it was used and highlighted there with cell phone data that was brought up in the prosecution's case. Now, there's some controversy about the software, and you know, we'll save that for the future episode. There are forensic experts that say bad things about the software that was produced and how it was produced, and the lack of peer review and subject matter expertise, and there were suppression hearings in many several cases, and there was and there was one in a federal court that the judge ruled against the use of the software.
So essentially, for a little overview here, I feel, in my opinion, that Cy Ray, was working for the police side, for the prosecution, and all of these years, and in Colorado courts and in federal courts, his stuff was kind of debunked, and he, to make money, obviously he has to continue on doing his thing to support himself. He decided to now go to the defense side because he was not going to get any work on the prosecutorial side, on the prosecution side. So that's, in my humble opinion, of what I looked at as it pertains to Cy Ray. And I don't know him from a hole in the wall, but I know what I read, and it just didn't seem.
Yeah.
It seemed.
I saw his testimony. I saw the judge's opinion. I read the entire opinion. I saw the experts that testified against his software and its use. I know that all right, we'll keep the rest for later.
Yeah, we're going to leave it for a separate show. All right, so let me go to and make sure I didn't miss any of the super chats. Becky, thank you so much. I think I got them all. Jane C sends in a super sticker. Thank you for the support, Jane. I love the little kitty cat there in the picture. Thank you so much. Thunder Horse, thank you for the happy Easter and Passover and etc. for the $2 super chat. Yes, today it's still my birthday. It's only 9:52. I'm 61 years old today, and I am blessed and thankful that I was able to kick lymphoma's butt and put it on the way, put it on the side and put it on the, put the fire out. And now we just continue on. I had a bad week with some pain, and Ed's got something on the back of his neck that he's got to get checked out. We responded to the World Trade Center on September 11th when our country was attacked by radical Islamic terrorists, and all of the fumes and all the things that we breathed in for the days and weeks and months to follow. I worked at the medical examiner's office, several tours, taking in, body parts and so forth. And Ed worked in and around that location himself as a crime scene investigator. And we're paying the price. Took 23 years for it to catch up to me. But many, many years later, I had lots of different ailments like sinus infections, pneumonia. I've had sinus surgery, all kinds of things that I didn't have as a young 38-year-old, 30-ish, 39-ish year old man, healthy man. And nowadays, Ed and I, it seems like we're battling all these chronic illnesses. And some of our brothers and sisters are not here today to talk about it. So it's not an easy go. Ed, I know, we talk about this on a regular basis on the side, and we don't like to bore our audience with this stuff, but we're fighting. Every day is a battle, right?
That's right. More emergency responders are dead today from the diseases that get contracted while working down there than died that day.
Yeah.
So, and my heart and prayers go out to each and every one of their families for their loss.
Yeah. So many, and we look at a lot of the different situations where we had to fight for the healthcare and it's just a constant battle that we're going through. And it's not just the first responders, it's everyday people who work down there, teachers, janitors, every trade that was down there, the steel workers that were removing the steel from the pile. But so here we are, Bryan Kohberger. I just want to circle it back and reel it in a little bit. His Amazon history and the purchase primarily of this K-bar knife. He purchased it. He put it in his into his cart. He purchased it with his own credit card or somebody from his family's credit card. It was sent to his Pennsylvania home many months before these quadruple murders took place, and he brought it over into the Pullman campus where he was, a PhD student. And then also searched on Amazon for a replacement after these murders. That is compelling and something that's going to be very difficult to overcome. So I think we saw a couple more super chats come in and a couple of questions, Ed. I hope you saw some of those. They went by quick. Katina says, happy birthday. Thank you. Easter blessings, Duty, Ron, and Ed. Katina, we love you. We thank you for being a moderator. Erin, thank you for being a member. Prayers for all the first responders and their sacrifices. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ed, you see anything?
Nope.
All right. I want to close it up by saying we're going to follow this closely, but we're also Tuesday morning, the Karen Reed retrial starts, opening statements, opening arguments by the prosecution, the Commonwealth, as they refer to it, and the defense. We're going to cover that live. I know there's a lot of other people who are going to be covering it. You have a lot of options, but Ed and I are going to cover it live. We're going to listen to these opening statements, and we're going to see what it's about with Karen Reed. I want everyone to focus on what's most important. It's justice for police officer John O'Keefe, who's no longer here to tell the story. It's up to the Commonwealth to tell the story and the defense to defend their client. So
yeah, and
will join us.
100%. And Monday, Lori Daybell is going to rest. She's not going to have any witnesses. She's not going to testify. And then they'll go to closing arguments.
Yeah, right straight to closing arguments. And she really, I was really surprised that that she didn't have anything, no witnesses, no nothing. And she basically, it was a joke for her to represent herself. I think it was mainly just to hear herself talk and to try to humiliate some more of the witnesses, like Kay and so many others. She wanted to get these people up there and testify. Beckles, we see you. You're not blocked. Welcome. Go ahead, Ed.
Can I say something about the Karen Reed?
Oh, sure.
As a detective, sworn law enforcement who has dedicated his life to protecting people and fighting injustice of any kind, I believe from the bottom of my heart that it is a miscarriage of justice for her to be charged with the 2 charges that a previous jury acquitted her on, and to hang your hat on a technicality because of the confusion that occurred with the jury and the judge not giving the correct charging orders and polling the jurors if they had come to any conclusions on the other charges, on any of the other charges, just that they were hung and no one found to push forward as a prosecutor. I don't know how that person could put his head down on a pillow at night. And the same thing for the judge. I don't know how. I know she has a lot of issues. And I don't like a lot of the things that she's done. But listen, the previous jury found that she was not guilty of 2 of those charges, and I can't see how, in good conscience, you can push forward with prosecuting her with those 2 charges again.
I agree wholeheartedly, 100%, and that's why it's important, I feel, for us to cover this, because not only will we get to see all of the missteps in the evidence collection that we covered very extensively, but we'll get to see the angle that the prosecutor is going to go with, because Trooper Proctor is no longer a trooper. He got fired for his misconduct and his vile statements that he made about the defendant, Karen Reed.
And that Canton audit that they did, that's just bullshit. Okay. There was obviously no forensic experts on that team that reviewed what was done there. Okay, right. Because I'm sorry, using a leaf blower, they said, oh, that was new and novel and it was thinking outside of the box. No, that's crime scene 101. You don't do that shit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. All right, so we're getting off. We don't do this often, but it is a Saturday night, and we haven't been live in a week. I think I went live last Sunday. So everybody have a happy Easter if you celebrate it. For those of you who don't, I hope you guys have a great Sunday and enjoy the rest of this holiday weekend. I really loved the traffic was so light last week because all the kids were off from school, and it was such a pleasure to go back and forth to work. But yeah, just definitely look out for our coverage on Karen Reed. That's going to be Tuesday. We're going to go over all of the analysis as it pertains to the crime scene and so forth. So we'll have a lot of coverage for that. And I look forward to seeing you guys all on that coverage. And there's other things we were going to discuss. Many other cases, Luigi Mangione, that's ongoing. There's a lot to talk about there, but we'll save it for another live stream. On behalf of Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace, we want to thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We love our replay viewers. Leave us comments down below in the comments section. If you want to continue the conversation with Ed and myself, leave us a comment in the comment section. We always love to engage there. Ed, I know you got something to say. Let's do it.
All right, folks, thanks for being here. I know you can get your true crime fix anywhere on YouTube or the internet that you like. And we're proud and honored that you shared that with us. Always, folks, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six. Finally, happy Easter and happy Passover.
Amen to that, brother. All right, we'll see you all soon. Justice for the victims, the Idaho 4 murder victims and their families. Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Madison Mogan. God bless, and we'll see you soon. Peace, guys. I got to up